Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Ben Stone. You are watching canalgrass.com, and today I thought it would be fun to challenge myself and do something that I have literally never done before, and that is target bass the day the ice has gone off on a lake. Now, I'm a Minnesota resident, which means I have a closed season, so I've never really gotten the opportunity to do this, but my neighboring state, Wisconsin, has a year-round catch and release season for bass. But today, the goal is to catch a largemouth bass on the day the ice has gone off. The ice basically just came off this lake. I've never even been to this lake before. I literally just got up, saw the weather, and drove with my boat, launched, and now we're here. So I'm very unfamiliar with fishing this early in the season, but the goal today is to catch that one largemouth bass, so let's get to work. So like I mentioned right at the start, when it comes to fishing early in the season when the water is still very cold, this is something that I'm just not super familiar with because as a Minnesotan resident, I've never really gotten the opportunity to get out here and fish this early in the year due to closed season. So with Wisconsin having this brand new catch and release bass season, it gives me the opportunity to kind of figure these fish out. I was always under the understanding that when the water's just this cold, these fish aren't active. On a brand new lake, I'm focusing on two things. Number one, I'm focusing on finding the warmest water in the lake. So I've already done a bunch of running around. I found the warmest water. The water's sitting at about 44 degrees at its warmest and about 42 in the coldest. And I know 2 degrees doesn't sound like a big deal, but for a fish, that is a big deal. And the second thing I'm keeping in mind is I want baits that just aren't too fast, that have pause actions in them. So last week you saw me using some smaller swim baits. Today, I'm gonna start off with a jerk bait, which is just a staple bass bait for cold water. And the water is really clear, so I'm gonna be able to see if I have any fish following, but that's how I'm gonna start off. This is a great way to cover water. It's very easy to do. But with all that out of the way, I'm gonna get casting here because it's been like a week and that's just too long for me. So let's get to it. There he is. Oh, it's a pike. That's not what I'm after. Little guy. That was kind of cool. I just saw a little flash out there, and then I was hooked up. Obviously, that's not the target species, but it is a fish nonetheless. He's obviously feisty and ready to get back, so we will do that. Get him back. I wasn't off to the greatest start today. I dropped my camera post on my finger. I have a giant blood blister. My finger's all swollen. But I can't really complain when you're catching a fish on a jerkbait when the water's still 41 degrees. Well, like I said, the target species today is bass. My goal is to find the largemouth bass, and I'm still trying to break down this lake that I've literally never been to. Like, I know nothing about this lake. I literally just dropped my GPS point on it, drove here, put the boat in, and this is the first spot that I really started fishing. So it is nice to catch a fish, obviously not the target species. I did start to come up on some better weeds, and I think that's gonna be the key today, is if I'm gonna find these bass, it's gonna be on really, really good weeds. And this is where I just started to find some really good weeds, and I caught that little pike, which was cool in the clear water, but like I said, not the target species. So gonna get back to work, gonna keep throwing the jerkbait just because I feel really good about this. I feel really good that I can pause this bait if I see anything behind it and I can try to get reaction strikes. So we will continue on with the jerkbait, just basically looking for those weeds. At the end of the day though, if you're catching a fish, can you really complain? Because I can't. This is looking kind of good. Some big clumps of weeds down there. Look, there's a sunfish right there. Or is that a bass? It's a bass. There's a bass right there. There's literally a bass underneath me right now. I doubt this will work, but there's literally a bass just chilling down there. Literally just went right over the top of a bass. Well, I'm just continuing to move along the shoreline, and like I said, the water is super, super clear. I can see everything. There's a lot of good weeds down here, but I came up on a big chunk of tall weeds, and I saw just a darker shape in there. I thought maybe it was a little sunfish because it did look pretty small, but as I got on top of that big clump of weeds, it actually turned out to be a bass. So it is a good sign to see the first bass of the day. I'm now gonna have a monkey vibe on standby just in case I come up on top of any of these fish. But I'm gonna continue throwing the jerkbait. I think I'm gonna stick up a little bit shallower than I've been fishing. Maybe these fish are just already up shallower than I think. And that's one of the fun things about fishing new water or fishing a new time of year, is just the unfamiliarity with it presents a challenge. And challenges are fun in my opinion. I like becoming a better angler. I like learning new things. And today is no exception to that. So we are going to get back casting here, but I've already seen plenty that has me hoping that by the end of today we can cross paths with a bass or two. Oh my God, no way, it's a walleye. What? No way. Why, what is a walleye doing all the way up here? Are you kidding me right now? No way, that's a nice one too. Oh my goodness, that is not what I wanted to catch. Oh my God, I got him snagged on a net. This is like the last thing that I would have expected to catch on a jerkbait up in like literally 4 or 5 feet of water in thick weeds. I'm like literally probably on the best weeds I've seen all day, and I catch a walleye. So either I have bad luck or I just really suck at fishing. Probably a combination of both. Obviously walleyes are not in season right now, so I'm gonna take a very quick look at this fish and just get it right back in the water. That's not the target species. If you're from Europe, this will look similar to a zander. This is Minnesota state fish. I'm in Wisconsin, of course. Just not the target species, not in season. Let's get her back. I didn't think it would be this hard to catch a bass today, but apparently it is. Well, at this point in the day, I'm starting to struggle a little bit. I've been trying a bunch of different spots that look really, really good, and I'm still coming up short-handed. The only bass that I've seen have been the 10 or so that were glued onto a couple of big chunks of thick weeds. So that's kind of a bummer. I'm out here for bass and I'm struggling a little bit, but I've got a couple other spots that I want to try to fish, and of course I'm going to go back on the fish that I already did see, and hopefully I can get those fish to bite if I do find some more. We're going to make the run, we're going to go fish some other spots and hopefully find ourselves some bass. This is looking okay. Same kind of stuff that was where those other fish were. That's a pike. That was kind of cool. Not the target species. First cast on this new spot. And I was just talking to myself about how I'm seeing some big weed clumps like I saw those other bass on. And then this guy just came shooting up out of the center of that one that's right in front of me. But I just rolled onto this new spot, and right off the bat I'm seeing these big chunks of weeds that I was just talking about how on the first spot that I fished, there was bass all over them and I just couldn't get them to bite. But that fish absolutely T-boned the shad wrap. I got to make good use out of that M-War hook remover. Little guy, but it is nice to be out here catching fish. This guy's seen some better days, nice and beat up. We'll get him back. There we go, there's one. It's a bass. It's a freaking bass. I did it. I freaking did it. That's what we wanted to catch. That's a very pretty bass. Well, it's taken way longer than it should have, but we are on the board with the target species. That is a very small, largemouth bass. Going to get that guy right back. I've been seeing him back here. I've been seeing him all day, basically. Just relating to really thick, defined clumps of weeds. And I came back into this little bay, and I had like 3 of them about that size, follow my jerkbait, but none committed. So what I did is I downsized, I switched over to a VMC jig with a monkey vibe, which has been one of my absolute favorite combinations to literally go after anything that bites. But right now, the motion of this tail, I just figured that this is a more sleek profile. Yeah, I've just been bouncing it off the bottom, and we caught our first bass. Not a giant, but nice to catch a fish. Hopefully we can catch more. I did see a really nice one in here when I first got back in here. So we're gonna get right back to casting, but it's nice to catch the target species of the day. Well, I thought I was onto something, so I continued doing that something, and it led me nowhere. So unfortunately, I'm gonna call it. I'm out of time. But we did manage to catch a largemouth bass on the day the ice went off, which is really, really cool. Of course, I did catch a couple of bonus fish, that being a couple of pike and that really nice walleye. So all in all, it was a very, very fun day to be on the water. I'm just glad to be back out in the boat casting again. If you're in the Midwest, you know how rough this winter has been. It has just clinged on for as long as possible. Today was the first nice day. We've got a couple more nice days, and then it's supposed to get back down into the 40s, which is just crazy. I am just so ready to get back out there doing what I love most, and that is open water fishing, chasing muskies, chasing bass, and everything in between. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you next week.